Ian Davis here from Yellow Dog Fly Fishing Adventures. We're on one of my favorite spots in the world, Andros Island in the Bahamas. We're here in the Middle Bight, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how to fight fish in the salt. And so, you know, when we're trout fishing, and you can mainly have your rod up in the air, we're using very light pound test, so it's a little bit more of a dainty, less aggressive approach. When we're saltwater fishing, we're using heavy pound leader material. Even 12 or 15 pound test, you can land a marlin on that stuff. So when we're fighting, you know, a 6 or 8 pound bonefish, which is a nice fish, or a 20, 30 pound permit, you can still put the wood to them with that pound test and get away with it. So one of the most important things is to understand leverage. When the fish eats, you're going to strip set, they're going to turn hopefully and run and clear your line, and you'll be on the reel. And when you're clearing the line, you want to make sure it's free of all snags. So if you have a partner in the boat, they're helping you get that line up on the reel. You know, you don't want anything like this, and so I like to let the line run through and keep my hands apart and watch it get up into the reel. And then once I'm on the reel, whew, we're home free now. You know, your odds of landing that fish have gone up a lot. It's running. I might give it a little stab on the way out to drive that hook in. And then my main focus is to have my drag properly set, and which should be in that, you know, 12 to 15 pound range on pulling when I'm using 16 pound test. And then I like leverage. So when that fish is running, I've got it high in the air. And that's going to make sure it doesn't snag on any coral or sea fans or rocky coral outcroppings, because the fish is running at great distance. And then as I start to fight that fish and it gets closer and closer, I start to go to the stew-app down and dirty, where you're getting the rod lower and throwing off the fish's equilibrium with leverage. And so if the fish is swimming to my right, I'm pulling to my left, and I'm pulling that fish in its opposite direction down low. And what that does is it puts the fish off kilter and off balance and shortens the fight. If the fish is swimming to the left, I'm pulling to the right. And now if they switch directions erratically, I don't just jerk the rod back and forth. It's a nice smooth transition into that direction, because if I jerk it and I go from slack to jerk, that fly can fall out because we're pinching our barbs so we can get out of the guide's calf when we make an errant cast. And so, and then when I'm reeling, only when the rod straightens do I reel, get a bend in the rod, and then I take my hand off the reel knob. Because if you get caught with your hand on the reel knob when a fish runs, it can break and bruise your knuckles. So it's important to only move the reel when you're reeling it. Also, when you're reeling quickly, you don't want to reel the rod and the reel. You just want to reel the reel. So keep your right hand steady and just reel the reel and not the rod. People sit there doing this, and it sends shock waves down the line and can knock that fly out. I've seen it a bunch, a lot, particularly in trout fishing. And then as the fish gets close, you want to start to back off and let the guide get up front. Or if you're wade fishing and you want to lift like this. You know how many broken rods we've seen here with tarpon and big permit because people are doing this. The rod's not designed to bend like that. Particularly this higher modulus, lighter graphite rods. They're a heck of a lot more brittle and not as durable as the old, you know, thick-walled graphite rods, you know, 15, 20 years ago. So you want to lift like this and bend the rod here. You fight the fish with this part of the rod. You cast with the tip of the rod. And so by pulling like this, you save your rod, and it's really important to use your maximum pressure with your pound test to land the fish as quickly as possible for conservation purposes. Even if you lose a couple fish over your lifetime because you fought them too hard, you're doing a service to the natural environment and to protecting fish species for many generations to come. I would rather lose a couple fish and fight them hard than be all dainty on them on 2 pound tests for some stupid world record when, you know, and tire the fish out. Because more often than not, it's after we release our fish when a shark eats it because it's so tired it can't outrun it. That is so important. We've got to release these fish in a safe environment, away from predators, in cool, good, crisp water, not stagnant water that's overwarm with not enough oxygen in it. and release them after a quick fight so they have energy to evade being eaten. Thank you very much.